I believe so.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Yep, let's do it.
All right, folks. How you guys doing? Welcome back to the Art of Losing Your Butt and Finding Your Why. I'm Doug.
And I'm Christy.
And this week we're going in a topic that's a little bit more directed towards mental health and wellness. And the topic's going to be the importance of communication. And have we lost the ability to have meaningful conversations? We got to face it that today we live in a more digital, fast-paced world. Everything is social media, cell phone driven, text messaging, quick messages. Everything's been shortened, abbreviated to be faster, more efficient. And in doing so, have we lost our ability to communicate properly with other people, to have meaningful conversations with people around us? And we're going to be talking about, how important it is. Some of the things of having a deep conversation and meaningful conversation is to your daily life and to different aspects of it. And also some issues that we face today within the society we live in that are causing these things, some things you might want to look out for. And just how important it is for you to, put the phone down for a while and have a face-to-face conversation with people throughout your day-to-day lives, because you'd be surprised some of the effects.
Well, and the thing is, communication is really the foundation of any relationship.
Right.
Okay, right. So you have to be able to communicate with anybody if you want to have any type of relationship with them.
Yeah.
And that's part of the breakdown is we've become that, text, quick send.
Yeah. LOL.
Yeah.
Very quick, you know what I mean? Very quick response, shortened, abbreviated things that, get your point across very fast, but maybe not completely or entirely.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever had a conversation misunderstood by somebody, whether it's through a text message, because you couldn't exactly convey the emotion behind it, and somebody maybe misunderstood you for being a smart ass at the time being, when really that was not the intention whatsoever, where sometimes text messages read with no emotion, so the people who read it assume.
And then you also have the quickness of the texting, where people now do actually try to make a phone call to someone, and they're expecting it to be responded to as quickly as a text.
Oh yeah.
But when you're working or whatever, you can't do that. So that is kind of a distressful thing right there.
Yeah. True, absolutely. Yeah. It's engaging in conversation with people. It's connected to your emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. It helps you feel connected, understood. And when you lack that, it's like when you hear about senior citizens, people sitting down with senior citizens. Mm-hmm. When you stop having conversations with people, a lot of people that withdraw, or they're in a situation where they're withdrawn from the population, they decline. And that kind of brings me to one of my other points I wanted to bring up is the actual mental health aspect of communicating with other people. Mm-hmm. Is that you will find when you're disconnected like that, a lot of people take a mental health hit. You start to feel down, depressed, alone, isolated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues that can come on with people. So, we are social creatures.
Yeah, it's a social connection.
In the end, a lot of people can say, I'm a loner, or, I'm someone who likes to be by myself. But
they're on social media the entire time.
Right.
Feeling that, because that still makes them feel like they're part of.
Right. Or every once in a while, they have to recharge in some way. Mm-hmm. Like my father, for instance, is that kind of a person. He lives alone. He's lived alone his whole life. But he still has to go to town once a week at least and see a few people, stop and see somebody here or check in with somebody just to have a laugh and have a conversation with someone. Or him and I go to lunch on the weekends, and you can tell when he needs it. Yeah. Like he hasn't seen someone for a couple of days. It's just been him and his dog out in the woods. And he needs to recharge his batteries.
And that's the thing is, because everything's so quick, and you get those disagreements with text messaging because you read it wrong. Well, conflict resolution is a big thing with communication.
Oh yeah.
When you're actually able to sit down and resolve the problems.
Right.
Because what happens nowadays, people worry about a problem and they're not discussing it with their partners and things, and they think they're taking it all on themselves.
Oh yeah. They'll post about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Maybe before they've ever talked to their spouse about it.
Yep.
Yep. And, it's just one of those things you think about. It's like, wait a minute, if you just didn't pick the phone up and just said, hey, hun, can we have a chat about something? I felt like I was wronged yesterday when you said X, Y, and Z. Can we possibly talk about it? Because I'm feeling some type of way and I need to work through this because I don't want to feel any type of way towards you about this.
Yeah.
You sit down and you have a conversation about it and you find out that maybe she never intended it to be heard that way and it was all a big misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
But instead you hold on to it, or you don't communicate, you go back to doing your thing and you bottled it up.
Well, and that goes into the whole it's building empathy.
Yes.
Because when you don't have that back and forth communication, you're taking it all in, you're bottling it up and all that. Right. You're not seeing it from the other person's side.
Yeah.
So therefore,
yep.
We lose the self-awareness that we have. Mm-hmm. Okay, of our spot in
Yeah, your self-awareness.
Yeah, and a perfect example of that is a young lady that I work with who got ridiculously upset because we had a gentleman that came in and he was frustrated and he's in pain. Mm-hmm. Okay. He knows that the hand pain is due to something in his neck. There's an injury in his neck and it's radiating down to his hands.
Okay.
But he wants somebody to deal with his hands. Make it better. Stop just playing with my neck. Do something with my hands. Because he needs that relief of the pain.
Right.
Well, instead of understanding where he was coming from and understanding that he's in pain and he's frustrated and she went the other way. It's like, how stupid do you have to be to have 3 people explain it to you? Whoa.
Right. So
that's a perfect example.
Instead of being empathetic, you're arguing with the man and you just made him just put a defense up to everything. Like now you're not going to get through it all.
Right.
Anything you say. And
you can't do that because once again, communication is huge in building your professional career,
your whole trust,
a business, that kind of thing. So, and what I'm finding is these younger folks lack that ability to have a conversation that is not based on snippets of information.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that conversation goes for more than 30 seconds, they're bored.
Yes.
And they tune you out.
Right. Right. I mean, you got to think about it, like all, in a work scenario, like your leadership, mm-hmm. Everything about within that, your productivity throughout the day in the workplace, mm-hmm. managing other people, all of that is based on having effective conversation with people. Mm-hmm. You can't just get through work every day with text messaging. Right. You can, but not very effectively, and you end up with dysfunctional workplaces, mm-hmm. Where people aren't exactly sure what's going on, or
my favorite is
who's in charge.
The cultural, who's in charge. The cultural understanding, though, too, mm-hmm. and I'm not just talking about cultural as far as you're Indian and I'm American or whatever. I'm talking about even through the ages.
Oh yeah, different generations.
Different generational.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thing.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to watch because I have a friend who's Indian, mm-hmm. and people, instead of talking to her, they just automatically assume she's gonna be hard to understand.
Right.
And she's set in her ways or whatever, and they don't even attempt.
They just write her off. They write her off. Like They write her off before the conversation's even begun.
I've watched this happen to her, and I'm like, it hurts because she's such a sweetheart, mm-hmm. and such a caring and loving person, and she's not set in her ways. They're very modern.
Right. People are just making assumptions.
Correct.
And having pre-assigned beliefs about that person.
Correct.
Before they've even had a single sentence exchanged.
Yeah.
And they don't want to wait. They don't even spend the time to have the conversation to realize, hey, I'm wrong, mm-hmm. or I've assumed something that was not true at all.
They can't take the time to do that.
They won't even take the time to do that.
Yeah. So I find it funny. Now, see, on the other hand, when it comes to other cultures, I'm always like, oh, do tell.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm all ears.
I'm all ears. Like,
Right.
oh, you know,
I'm the same way.
what recipe can I learn?
Right. And that's where it comes like learning and growth. It's like when you engage a conversation with someone like that, you know, you're exchanging knowledge and ideas and values and beliefs. And you know, you're just gonna learn and you're gonna have so much more personal growth because of it.
Yeah.
You know, the more people you can talk to, the more diverse amount of people from different backgrounds, different educations, different experiences, the more you have to learn. You know, the less you communicate with people outside of your inner circle, just the more closed-minded you will be.
Right.
You know? And I came from Sussex County, Delaware, where it was like that in a way, in different ways. And well, it was very much country, Caucasian, very you know, down home, but it wasn't very, you know, I haven't really wasn't very diverse or people with highly educated backgrounds.
Okay.
But as I got older, I've started to meet more people that have come from other countries, that have lived other lives, people that, you know, were, you know, doctors in other countries. Some, you know, a friend of mine's from Australia, and just hearing his experiences and travel, you know, things he's gone and seen. You know, people that have doctorates and master's degrees and advanced degrees in all kinds of fields of study that are just mind-boggling to me, coming from like small town Sussex County, Delaware, where you were going to go work for a construction company, or, you know, you might go work for the state of Delaware and have a decent job,
or something tourist trappy.
Right. Or you worked in the tourist industry.
But see, that's one of the things and see, that's the difference, because I'm a Newcastle girl, so I'm northern state.
Right.
And we're more culturally diverse up there.
Oh, definitely.
But the funny thing, that's what I always loved about coming down to Lewis, because you could be on the bus and meet somebody from Australia, or you know, the Philippines, or you know, something.
We're from Russia on a work visa. You know, they're working for the summer,
and it's like, and you're stuck on a bus with them. And as a kid, and even my kids, you know, we would always start conversations. Where are you from? You know, we've got blocks and blocks to go. Where are you from? Oh, I love your accent. You know, that kind of thing. And you get to learn a little bit.
Right.
And that's what I always liked, because people are on vacation, so they're a little more relaxed.
Right. They're having fun. They're here for a good time.
So they're more likely to share more.
They're more likely to open up and have a conversation like that, because it's not just you have to worry about; it's everybody else too. A lot of other people are the same exact way, and could be closed off. Could be very much not willing to have a regular conversation, and one of those things is that I've realized is the one thing I can say that was always good around here for me was I was raised that when you walk through town, you wave to people and said hello to everybody.
Yep.
And I didn't realize that it's not that way. It's not that way in other places. Like when you go to the city, you know, you don't say good morning to people and wave to them.
You don't make eye contact.
You might if you live in the neighborhood and you know the people there, but for the most part, you're in your own world there. Everyone else is, nope, this is my space. It's just me. I don't know you. Stay away. But down here, you very much said hello to people and good morning to the guy walking his dog past you. And, you know, that would strike up a conversation with him when his dog, you know, jumps up on you and you say, oh, I have a dog at home. You probably smell him. And it turns into a 30-minute conversation on the side of the street. That's the one thing I can say is that the down home country friendliness vibe paid off in. But, you know, even like talking about like pre-assigned beliefs and, you know, having a closed-minded upbringing, one of the things was like her talking about being from northern Delaware. I was raised that the people that lived north of the canal in Kent County or Newcastle were snotty. You know, they hated the people from southern Delaware.
We are a little bougie sometimes.
This was slower, lower Delaware. And it was always believed that they were the richer, snottier class, people who were more highly educated, who kind of looked down on us. And of course, you find out the first time you meet somebody from there that's halfway decent, that is not the case at all. But when you're raised to believe that, you're like, oh, well, I don't ever want to go there.
And I get that, because we were growing up, I was what they called bi-county, meaning my family had houses down here.
Right. Okay.
So we'd go back and forth.
Right.
And we were taught as kids that when you come down here, you act like a local. You assimilate. Whatever you got going on up there stays up there. Your attitude stays up there.
Gotcha.
If you're too stressed out to come down here, you stay home.
Fair enough.
And if we did not do that, so that meant we said hello to everybody. We waved at everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we did things for other people.
You know, hold the door for somebody.
Correct.
You know,
you became part of the community.
Mm-hmm.
We would come down here and work during the summers to make that money for school and that kind of thing. And once again, you acted like a local.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't, I'll tell you one thing: my grandparents would send you packing.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Right.
You know,
that's just general respect. You know, you act natural.
And that's why
you don't
people
stick
down
out
here
like a
do
sore
kind
thumb.
of have issues now.
Yeah.
Because
people come down here. They just came down here. Like we were taught to believe that the people that were coming down here were just down here for vacation. So whatever, let them blow their money.
Mm-hmm.
We're working all the shops down here anyway, so just make as much money as you can off of them. Be as nice as possible.
But now we have people that have moved here.
And then everybody started moving down here.
And everybody started moving here, and now they don't want the tourists here. I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
no, you're trying to change the way people. No, you can't do that.
Yeah,
and nobody wants to have a meaningful conversation.
Nobody wants to have a conversation about this.
They're all from the city, and we don't talk about things. We just act on them.
Right. The people who have moved here from out of state consider themselves local, even if they just moved here a year ago. And then they've suddenly seen all these other people start to come in. And all of a sudden they're saying, we don't want anyone else moving down here because they like it the way it was when they moved down here. And that was kind of a thing that you'll see posted, like say on Facebook. Because a lot of people will say, if you moved here from out of state and you like it here when you came here, please don't come here and try to change things.
Right. If
you liked it so much where you came from, please go back there rather than try to make this what your home state was like.
Yeah.
And it starts a riot when someone says something like that. Again, because people can't communicate anymore. You know, people can't have...
And there's no empathy there.
Right. People can't have an intelligent, calm, cool-minded conversation back and forth, even a debate, without it becoming nasty, vulgar, name-calling, slurs very quickly. And the internet makes that 1,000 times worse because of the anonymity behind your keyboard. People feel that they can say whatever they want and get away with it. I always
put it out there, when they're like, oh, there are no locals anymore. I'm like, no, but there are natives.
Right.
And, so basically I'm like, well, how about putting the shoe on the other foot?
Right.
How would you like to grow up somewhere? Have pride in where you grew up. You were taught to have pride where you grew up here.
Yeah.
And then you have people moving in here telling you that the place sucks. You can't get a good pizza. You can't get good this. You can't get good that. Right. And everything sucks.
Right.
But this is where I grew up. This is my home.
Right.
And you're pooping on it.
Right.
And they can't get it through their head. They're like, oh, you're just some, local. And I'm like, no. And so that's what I started saying. I said, no, I'm not a local. I'm a native.
Yeah. I was born
and raised here. So, back it up. I don't go as far as say I'm not a BB baby though.
Right. Right. Well, I was born down here. I mean,
were you a BB baby?
I was born down here. Yeah.
You're a BB baby.
I was born down here. But it's one of those things that
my mom went to labor down here, but they drove her all the way to Wilmington to have me.
Really? But it's one of those things that people can't, and that goes for anything. We're just talking about something small, but this goes to even more serious things. Like people can't talk sexuality, politics, religion. People can't talk about these things. I mean, it's to the point where it's like it's on a blackout list or a blacklist for a lot of people that they will not even engage in a conversation about any of those things because they cannot. People just cannot have an just intelligent, calm, cool, collected conversation about things like this, where they just state the things that they believe about a situation to be true without letting emotion get the best of them. And you can see this in a lot of things. Like,
you don't have to agree with it.
You don't have to agree with anything. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Right.
And if you just kind of share that back and forth with someone and say, well, here's what I believe and why, And just having that back and forth, you gain so much insight from that other person.
Mm-hmm.
But that's only if you're open to it.
Right.
If you're just closed off to this person's an idiot, I hate everything they have to say,
Mm-hmm.
they are very wrong,
Mm-hmm.
I am right, and there is zero chance of any give or take here.
And see, this is
It's
why
already over.
internet trolls are so big.
You know, it's just a thing that, yeah, and I feel like, you know, so all the social media, all the phones, everything that we've developed was meant for us to be able to to communicate more effectively, to be more connected with everyone, with the whole wide world, you know. But in doing so, the bad comes with the good. You can reach any person immediately through this phone right now within 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. Any other person in the world right now, you can get in touch with them this moment. That's amazing. That's something that if you told my grandmother that, she wouldn't believe you. Let alone be able to come up with a video chat and talk face to face with a person on your phone. That would absolutely blow her mind.
I would love to go back to the teachers that told me, what do you think? You're going to have a calculator in your hand all the time? Yep.
Yeah. Not only that, but you got Google and AI now to solve the problems for you. But yeah, I mean.
But then in all of that, though, with everything that we have availability to, and this next one is something that is near and dear to my heart, because I swear this is one of the things that caused me to get divorced. It started the decline of my marriage. Small talk dominance.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that means all you talk about is whatever headlines popped up on your screen that day. Right. You didn't read the article because you couldn't be bothered.
Right.
But you're going to talk about the flashpoints that came across the screen.
Looks like it's going to rain later.
It looks like it's going to rain later. Oh,
did you see the ball game?
Did you hear, so-and-so did this, or, and like my ex was really good at doing the headlines. And I'm like, okay, but what did the article say? Oh, you didn't read the article. Okay, then shut up. Because I want to know what the article said. I don't want to just, So, and I see that a lot. People are headline people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They'll come in and,
The article might say something completely different.
Right.
And whoever wrote the piece just made an inference and put a title in it that may have been misleading.
Yeah, clickbait.
It could have been clickbait just to get you to click on it.
Yeah.
But if you didn't read the article, you just read the title, you assume that we're certainly going to war next week with such and such country, when really it was all a big misunderstanding. And if you read the article, you would see that in the end they mentioned that, or
a lot of the social media posts do that.
People get all freaked out, and people get themselves worked up with a lot of things. I mean, social media, the news, it's all meant to to incite. As much as I hate to say that, it's meant to incite people to be. A lot of times those things are meant to make you angry. Yeah.
A lot of people don't listen anymore either.
Oh no.
They know what they know, and that's all that they know, and you can't tell them any different.
Oh yeah.
And so they don't use active listening skills
at all.
At all. No.
My grandmother used to say, you have two kinds of people in this world. There's people who will listen to you, and there's people that wait for their turn to talk. Mm-hmm. And I think about that a lot of times when I'm talking to someone. If they can sit there and do this the entire time that I'm talking and just kind of stare at me and just kind of go, okay, yes. And then wait for me to stop talking and then bring up their point or respond back to me. And then you have other people that are sitting there and they're almost like shaking because they're waiting for their chance to jump in and take over the conversation. And you can tell it. If you do it sometime, just watch someone when you're in a conversation with someone. You'll be able to tell which kind of person they are so fast. But a lot of people have gone to be that person that's just waiting for their chance to talk instead.
Or to prove you wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Or to tell you how you're wrong.
Or whatever, yeah. Or to improve on what you said, or to argue with you, or to whatever. It's always something.
And some of us are just ADHD, and they're like, I got an idea.
Right. Squirrel.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. But, and you can tell the difference, too, with people. I like to speak slowly, clearly, and concisely to people and look them in the eye when I'm speaking to them. Because a lot of times, even when those people are the kind of people that are waiting for their turn to talk, when they see you do that and you stare them in the eyes as you're speaking, they infer that I'm talking about something important here.
Yeah.
And something inside their brain kind of clicks that I should shut up for a minute and listen to this. For some reason it works. It's worked for me. But if you're kind of looking at the ground when you're talking to someone and you're not making eye contact,
or looking at your
you're
phone,
talking kind of fast, or you're mumbling, people assume that what you have to say isn't important. Mm-hmm. And once their brain goes down that rabbit hole, everything you have to say from this point forward is no longer important to me. So I'm just waiting for my chance to say what I have to say. And then they'll interrupt you, or people will talk over you really quickly. And, it's frustrating, but I found a way around it, trying to work on people around me with things like that.
Well, the other thing though too is time constraints.
Oh yeah, you're in a rush.
We're always, everybody's always in a hurry. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, that's one of the reasons I like Tuesday nights when we record.
Same.
Because we work out and everything on our own, and then we come together and we sit there, and normally we get a shake and we sit there and talk about what our week's been like, and that kind of thing. And it's honestly one of the few like substance conversations you have during the week.
It's not, I'm the same way. What she's saying, I feel the exact same way. Our Tuesday nights, that's some of the best moments for me, because you get a great workout in, you come together with a friend, you're kind of just sitting at a table. We're about to do the podcast. We're kind of discussing the topic. But in the meantime, we're talking about life and just what we have going on and what's changing with ourselves and what improvements are we making? What improvements do we want to make? And we're kind of working with each other to solve each other's problems, to hype each other up, to better each other. And I feel like if more people had moments with that, like that, with the people around them, and we were all in this to bring each other up instead of tear each other down.
Hallelujah.
Everything would be so much better in this world. Like if you did not think for 1 second in your head how to argue with someone during a conversation or how to tear apart whatever they just said to you, and instead did something to better their life or help them fix a problem, solve a problem, better themselves in the process, instead of focusing on the negative in life, focus on the positive. Like, what can I do to help this person in this situation? And I'm not saying go out of your way and give them all the money in your bank account or anything crazy, but, start small. Just a conversation.
And it's so hard for some people because tonight, perfect example, I walked into the ladies' room to go to the bathroom and, gal's in there getting ready to go, and she just looks frustrated. And she looks at me and kind of gives me this, like, look, like she's just frustrated. I'm like, I hope you have a great workout tonight. And she's like, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll keep going. I was, she looked like she was having a rough day. So I opened it up. And if she would have said, gee, thank you, I needed that, and went on, I would have listened to her, and maybe she was just having a bad day.
Yeah. But I was actually just telling someone on the phone before we walked in here tonight, because I didn't realize this topic was up tonight. I was just saying just how fragile people are right now in society in general. And I was telling a friend of mine, you can almost have someone break down completely on you if you stop them for a minute and say, hey, you might be having a rough day today. I just want you to let you know it's okay not to be okay right now. And stare them in the eyes when you say that. I bet you 4 out of 5 people will just start bawling if you say that to them right now. Because so many people feel like they're going through so much. And the problem that comes with this is that a lot of people, although we're so connected, you feel so disconnected sometimes in this. Everyone's so close, but so far away. And in that, you can feel so alone. And there's a desperation in that a lot of people feel. Social media is, you don't feel the warmth of an actual connection with someone when you actually speak to them face to face. It's digital. So you don't get that connection with people. You don't get that release of oxytocin. You don't get that mental feeling through it. That's an actual chemical reaction that allows you to bond with a person that's more deeper than Facebook.
Well, I had a patient that came in today, and she's like, you're the one that called me today, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm the one that called you to see if you could come in early. And she goes, I need to give you a hug. I'm like, oh, okay. And she goes, you said you appreciated me.
Yeah.
I said, well, I did greatly appreciate you because you were willing to come up and allowed me to get an emergency situation in. And she goes, but that's not ever said, ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it is by me, because when you do something that helps me out, I'm going to let you know I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And she was like in tears and giving me a hug, and, you know, just verbiage. Taking that little minute instead of being nasty about it and saying, okay, thanks, bye.
10 seconds.
I appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your help. Boom. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
You know, and, you know, it doesn't cost anything to be kind.
Nope. Cost you nothing.
You know.
Nothing. But the problem is, and this is probably the biggest one here that comes with having meaningful conversations with someone, is that sometimes for you to do it, it makes you either directly, indirectly, or seem to yourself to be vulnerable. You are exposing a vulnerability in doing that, in opening yourself up to someone like that for a conversation that's deeper than just, hey, how are you doing? You see the Orioles game last night. You know what I mean? Like having a conversation like with that, you know, it comes with some risks. You know, like her saying hi to the girl in the restroom. You got to kind of be guarded about it, because some people are not going to respond. People are not going to adapt to this overnight. If you try having a conversation with someone, a lot of people look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah.
But I can promise you that a lot of people will realize you're a decent human being and that you only mean well, and will open up to you like you wouldn't believe. I've had people always tell me I'm such a good listener. And I hold so many people's secrets that it's unfathomable, because when I talk to people, I talk to them just like this. You know, it's a very intentional. I put my phone down and away from me. I look you in the eye and I listen to what you have to say. And then I ask you questions based on what you just said to me. And we have a conversation like that. And a lot of people just, if you just sit there and you're willing to listen to someone, oh my, once someone starts, they won't stop until they've told you everything that's on their mind, everything that's going on, just because they haven't had someone that was just sitting there looking at them and listening to them in so long that they just, it's like a floodgate opens, you know, and they'll tell you things that they didn't even intend to tell you. And I mean that. And that's why I say about holding so many people's secrets, because I've been told things by people that I didn't necessarily want or need to hear. But in the process of just trying to have just a good conversation with them, it's just started, here we go. And all of a sudden, you know, it starts off with having a rough week, and it turns into, you know, like just for instance, their spouse having an affair that they found out about, and they're not sure how to proceed. And it's like, okay, well, we have deeper problems to solve here. But, you know, it's one of those things that people are so cut off, even though they're connected, they feel so cut off. That they don't know what to do about it, and that they're so afraid of being vulnerable and opening themselves up to somebody with a face-to-face conversation a lot of times, that they resort to the old ways of having small talk, of, you know, being closed-minded, of, you know, putting up walls and just, you know, texting, not taking phone calls, you know, disconnecting, isolating. And it's kind of like a self-defeating circle. You just kind of keep doing it, you know, and people get stuck in a loop, and it's dangerous. It's just something to think about when you guys, you know, when you're talking to someone, when you're having a conversation with someone. Do you find yourself sitting there looking at your phone the whole time they're talking? Put it down, upside down on the table. Turn it on vibrate and just put it away off to the side somewhere, and just sit there and look the person in the eye. Just one conversation, and just see how much it changes, how much more you hear, how much more you retain, and just how much more of a connection you get with that person while you talk to them that day. You'd be surprised. You really would.
Yeah, I've actually threatened Gary to throw his phone across the room.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's guilty of it. Your phone text message goes off when someone's talking to you, and you just flip it over to look at it for a second, and you have to respond to them in that moment, because we're so connected that everyone, you know, expects an immediate response from your text message. They text you, you text them right back, even while that person's talking to them. And then you're texting, and all of a sudden they say something, and you go, I'm sorry, what did you just say? And you missed the past 3 minutes of conversation. What kind of a connection did you have with that person in those 3 minutes? You know, so that's what I try to think of when I say to people. It's like, if you're going to talk to someone, talk to someone. You know, I try my best to not split my attention. I'm already attention deficit as it is. I don't need my attention split anymore by me. My mind's already going to try to do that on its own with 1,000 different things going on over here, up here in my head while you're talking to me. But I'm going to do my damnedest to focus on you in that moment and hear what you have to say and have a good conversation with you, whatever it may be, But, and I think if you try to do that, if you just make an attempt, if everyone makes an attempt to do that in their daily life, I promise you that you'll find that your life is somehow becoming better and more meaningful through it. And you'll find opportunities coming to you. And all of a sudden you'll meet new people and you'll learn new things about the people that you already know that you had no clue about them.
Yep.
Just because you had a few extra minutes and you went a little bit further than just a, hey, how's your day going? All of a sudden you found out that someone's parents were from Zimbabwe. And you're like, wait, what? I didn't know this about you. Oh, no, I was born there too. We immigrated here when I was 7. And you're like, huh? I've known you since middle school. Yeah, well, before middle school, we lived in Zimbabwe. And it's like, oh, you know, just little things like that. You would never learn that about somebody if you just had, you know, small, meaningless conversations with people. So I just say, give it a chance, you know, for your own mental health.
And for those around you.
And for everyone else around you. You're only going to better everyone around you. Yep. You know? And that can't hurt.
No. And I think that's what we need right now is a little more conversation.
More positivity and conversations.
Yeah. And, deep conversations.
Right. Meaningful stuff. Yep. Not BS.
Yep.
You know, because
we have enough of that.
Right. We got plenty of that to go around out there. You know.
But I don't think we're lost. I think it can come back.
Oh yeah, you're never too lost to be found or be saved. You know, you're never too deep in a hole to dig yourself out of. I promise you, from someone who's dug as deep as he possibly can, you can still get out eventually. It may take a little help. It may take a little bit of work, and you might need someone reaching in the hole to get you out. But that's where those conversations come in handy. You know, because through a lot of my darkness and the holes that I dug myself into, if I had just taken a minute and had a meaningful conversation with someone, they probably would have reached a hand out a lot faster to help me. And instead I just closed off and stayed deep in my hole, in my darkness with my demons. Truly, I mean that. I do. Yep. If I had maybe just had a minute-long conversation with someone, they'd probably been a little bit more willing to help me. Just something to think about.
That's how this podcast came about.
Right.
I mean, I can remember when you first walked into the gym, all hunched over.
Oh yeah, I was determined. I was done. He
put his hoodie up, headphones on, hoodie up, and he didn't look at anybody.
Nope.
He came in and did his thing.
Nope.
And every time I could catch his eye, I'd just smile at him and keep on going.
Yep.
You know, and then like I guess I just got used to seeing you.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who you were. Like, I could never see his face.
Right.
It was always just head up, head down. And then this is one of the guys at the gym that introduced us. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, you look totally different.
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute. You were the guy with the head? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's one of those things. You know, you look back on yourself and you realize how much you've changed, you know, and you hope that you've changed for the better. And back then I decided when I first started doing that I was going to try to be just a little bit better every day. And I still live by that today.
Me too.
No matter whatever I can do to be a little bit better today, whatever that may be. Yeah, I screwed something up today, but tomorrow I'm not going to make that same mistake again. You know what I mean?
No.
Even if it's simple as I'm going to go to bed 15 minutes earlier. Or you know what? Oh man, I really should have said something to that lady that walked past me today who looked like she was crying. You know, something. It could be very simple, very small things. You know, just asking someone how their day's going. You know, I can't tell you how many people I've had at work in the past 10 years completely break down on me. I mean, have a freaking breakdown because I just asked them how their day was doing. Is everything okay? Seemed kind of quiet today. Bam, that was it. That's all they needed to hear, because it turned out their husband died 2 days ago and they haven't been able to talk to anybody about it.
Yep.
You know, you don't know what I want to say is, you don't know what other people are going through. You don't know what they're struggling with, and you don't know what their mental state is like at that moment in time. So treat everybody with empathy, you know, and just think that they could be going through something right now, and everyone could use a little kindness, you know.
And it doesn't take long to just say, hey,
right,
how are you? Have a great day.
It doesn't take anything. It takes 2 seconds, you know, really does. Just be kind.
But just know, when you stop and tell somebody, you know, hey, how was your day? Be prepared to listen.
Right.
Don't cut them off.
Right. Don't get caught up and you're in a hurry to get somewhere. You know, forget about that for a second. Forget about yourself is what I want to say here. Is stop being so caught up on yourself for a minute. And I don't know, just give that person a little time. A little bit of your time. Nothing crazy, just a little bit.
Yep.
Start slow. See how it works.
Start trying to have a real conversation and stop having the quick snippets.
LOL.
Yeah.
BRB.
Try to bring a little bit more value into your conversations than emojis.
Right. So, but that's it, folks. Just something we want to talk about. Just some things that maybe help you guys better your life, you know. Better your life, better everyone else around you. If we all do this, the world just becomes a better place in the process, truly. And we just solve more problems. We get things better, you know, done faster, more effectively, and everything just becomes better because of it, truly. So,
our little grassroots campaign, just be kind.
Right. All it is just a little kindness, you know, pay it forward.
Yeah.
If you're kind to one person, they're each kind to a person, guess what? Pretty quick, everyone's having a good day. You know, you don't know what anyone's going through.
And you just keep moving on to the next person, because not everybody's going to be open to it.
Yeah, no, that's what I say to anybody. It's one little thing. The lady stopped me at McDonald's one day because I stopped there for a random chance to get a cup of coffee and said, as a joke, can I pay for the person's order behind me? And I was at the Georgetown McDonald's. And it's this younger black lady that works there who we always laugh together whenever I pull up there, because she's always laughing. And I love that about people when they're having a good time. And I came back maybe a month later for a cup of coffee, and she was working. She goes, I want to tell you something that day. She goes, you know, that line kept going with people paying for each other's food for an hour and a half?
Oh my God, that's
awesome. I said,
awesome.
what do you mean? She goes, 90 minutes. Every person that came up paid for the person's food behind them after they found out that their order was paid for by the person in front of them.
That's freaking awesome.
And I started laughing hysterically because it was such an innocent thing that day of buying someone's breakfast sandwich for $4 because everyone was getting breakfast. It's $5, $6, you know, you were spending it on yourself anyway. And it was just hilarious to me. And it's like, you know what? One little domino, the domino effect is real. And it made me realize just how real it is that, you know, for 90 minutes, every person pulled up and said, oh my God, the person in front of me paid for my order. You know what? Yeah, let me pay it forward. I'm gonna do it for the person behind me. And they kept that rolling for an hour and a half.
We used to do that at the toll booth.
Toll booths, we used to do that too. Same deal. It's $1, you know. But you don't know what you started. I've had people chase me down out of the toll booth in Wilmington just to beat the horn and wave at me and thank me for paying the $1 for their toll or $1.50. You know, I mean, race me down on the highway to go beep, 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 and wave and go thank you.
We even started
for $1
post-it note saying, for almost 6 months, in the mornings, I'd go to pay my toll.
Yeah. And
a woman would hand me a post-it note. She goes, this was left by the person in front of you. And I'd read it. So the next day, I'd write my own little inspirational quote. And I'd hand it in with my thing and say, give it to the person behind me.
Oh, okay.
So we had just this flurry of post-its going all over the place. And that was really kind of cool.
Someone, you never, like I said, you never know. Yeah. You never know whose day you're going to completely brighten up or whose life you're going to completely change. You know, someone who's on a downward spiral that day, who's in the worst place possible, and you completely turn their life around in 30 seconds. Just something to think about next time you see someone. They don't seem like they're in the best mood. You saying good morning to them might change everything. You know, but thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us. We appreciate you being good communicators and good listeners. If you have any questions, put them down below. If you have any comments, put them down below. If there's anything you want to hear us talk about, any topics you want to see us discuss, put them down below. Share this with your friends. Please like it.
Share.
We really appreciate you guys sharing it all around and listening. We really do. And like I said, thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.
We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Thanks again.